Hey there, small business owners. All right. So, are you ready to have a technique that you can use to do more from inspiration instead of desperation? Today, we're going to share with you our monthly review. I've got a special guest about ready to join us. So, if you guys are ready to go, let's dive in. That's right. We're going to talk about monthly celebration today, and excited to share a tool that my wife Kylene and I have been using for, I don't know, I can't remember exactly how long, but at least a year, if not more. Maybe I don't know. We'll ask her. She probably knows, or maybe she doesn't. But speaking of my wife, I've got Kylene here to join us today, so you get a really special episode of Small Business Saturdays here. So welcome in, Kylene. Thank you for being here with me and getting all prettied up for me and everything. You're looking great.
Put a little makeup on. 9:00 on a Saturday. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
No, I'm
How's your
excited
morning
to be
going?
here to talk about the tool that we use. And I think we've been doing it for like 3 years, if not.
Okay.
It's been a long time. Because remember, we used to do our breakfast meetings and
Yeah.
we would do our celebrations too.
Yeah, I didn't realize that had been 3 years, but yeah, that makes sense. It probably has been 3 years. I guess doing this review together, how long that's been a part of it. So we keep adding little bits and pieces, but yeah. So really on this Small Business Saturday, the idea here is to dive right into the tools. And I know that in other instances, I can talk for hours and hours and hours, but let's do this. Let's just let's dive right in.
I heard it.
Yes. Can you do that for us?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Also, I have to surprise you. It can't be planned.
It can't be planned. All right. Well, we're joking about something else that I don't know if we'll tell you about it or not, but we'll see. All right. Well, I want to put this up on screen here, Kylene. So this is a printout that we use together, and it's a monthly review process. So I guess before I put this up on screen, kind of give people the overview of what this is and what this means to you.
All right. So really it's a check-in with ourselves to remind us of what we've accomplished in a month and where maybe potentially we can focus on in the future for the next month, or maybe really just acknowledge our success to give us that motivation and reminder we are doing a lot of hard things. We are doing a lot of good things, and we're in line with what's important to us. It's really a check-in to boost our confidence, to remind us of all we are doing. And then just checking in with each other is the other part of this. So it's not only for you, but for Aaron and I, it's checking in with where we're at so we know how to best support each other moving forward.
Yeah. And I think that's really important, Kylene, is this is something that obviously I think people will get a lot of value out of if they just do this as part of their own process. Mm-hmm. But you and I have found that this is also really healthy for our relationship, for our marriage. Mm-hmm. And, it's not always easy. It's not always rainbows and ponies, but it certainly allows us a better tool. I don't know. I kind of look at it as a tool that we can use to open our communication and make sure that we really are communicating with each other and not just attacking each other. Right. I guess.
Yeah, I think, just going on with what you just, expanding on what you just said, it is a way to have the tool to invite some of those more difficult conversations that need to happen sometimes. It gives you that guide. So it doesn't come across in a way that is attacking. It's understanding why this is important to the other person.
Yeah.
It's a more positive approach.
Sure. Yeah. So the idea here is that there's use beyond our business, and but it's also an extremely powerful tool for our business. Like I said at the opening, we want to be taking action from inspiration, right? But if you think about most of the actions that you take on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month situation, how many of those are actually from inspiration as opposed to desperation, right? Desperation, like, oh my gosh, I've got to do that thing. Oh, I made a commitment and now I'm, not, I've got that meeting on Monday morning and I haven't done the thing. And right. Like, so I think this is also another tool that you can utilize to say, okay, I'm accomplishing things. I'm motivated. You've got to turn the corner into going from the celebration into the inspiration and actually taking the actions, right? And so we'll talk about that in the second phase of this, and the kind of the honesty phase of this whole thing. So, all right, I'm going to put this up on screen, and we're going to start in the monthly celebration list. Okay. So I'll get that up on screen, and this is again just a little document that we both print out, and we have. I'm going to grab mine, but if you want to talk a little bit about this monthly celebration.
Right, here's mine. So really what it is at the end of the month or beginning of the following month, just reflecting back on those previous 30, 31 days and acknowledging the things that you're proud of, the things that you accomplished, the things that you did that brought you joy. So here's the cool thing. There's no right or wrong way of what you celebrate. It can be highly business focused, or it could be a combination of business, family, personal. All of those things are things that you accomplished that month. And to acknowledge it, to write it on paper makes you realize, man, I did do a lot of really good things and I'm proud of myself. And we share that with each other. So
yeah, for sure. And so the list here, we decided that 25 was the right number for us. It can be whatever is the right number for you. Maybe it's more. Maybe you want to write down 50 things that you accomplished during the last previous month, or maybe it's a little bit less, right? I would encourage you to make the number of things that you write down to celebrate longer than what's easy, right? Like for us, we get to 20 and then you got to start digging a little bit more for 21 through 25, right? And I think that's also a good reminder. Like if it's really easy to put all these things down on the list, then make your list longer, because again, we need to be inspired to do more as opposed to desperate to accomplish something, right? So give a couple of examples, Kylene. I'll give you a couple examples too, but give us like you said, they can be anything, business related, personal, wherever that falls for you. So give us a couple of examples.
Well, I'll do a business one here. I said I continue to do the TikTok yoga. And so for me, that was a huge accomplishment. And because it's not something that feels natural to do, but I know it's allowing me to grow. So I want to make sure I recognize that for myself.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll give an example then too. One of them I had was supporting John and Justin. It's a couple of consulting clients of mine that have a handyman business here locally, and I supported them to a new vision. Right? We worked through, and they had their why, but their business is evolving. They're kind of seeing this new opportunity, new vision, and it was really awesome to support them and saying, yeah, just because we're pivoting, we're shifting gears, we're still on track. We're still following our passion, our purpose, our reason. So yeah, supporting them. Give us another example, Kylene.
All right. I'll give you a family one. We celebrated. So this is from March that I'm looking at. But yeah, we celebrated.
I'm doing the same thing, by the way. My April one's upstairs.
We celebrated my dad's birthday with golfing at Top Golf. That was one of my favorite activities to do with my dad. And so we made time to do that in the month of March. And I wanted to remember that. And so by writing it down, I don't know, it's a good reminder. It makes you feel good. So that was a personal one that I put on my list.
Yeah. And I had that on my list too, that we got to do that together. Yeah. Another personal one that I put down was that we actually had a cardinal that stayed in our garage overnight, and the details of that are somewhat personal to Kylene and I, but there's a belief that a cardinal represents a lost loved one, and so yeah, it was pretty cool to just have that, right? And we left the garage door open, and he left when he was ready, and yeah, it was a he because he was really bright red, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really weird experience because the garage door was open and he wouldn't fly out. He literally sat on the garage door opener and just stared at us like, what are you doing? And he stayed overnight. It wasn't until the next day that we left it open and he was just gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it was really cool. Very special.
Very special. Okay. We got another one on there that maybe is in between or something like that.
What was that?
Just another example, right?
Yeah. I have our revamping of unlocking your potential. The outline, I got that part done, my part of it done. Nice. So I wanted to recognize that.
Yeah. And I had the Impressions Expo AI training that I did out there in Atlantic City was another one of mine. I was proud of that accomplishment, and I think it went well and got lots of good feedback. So, and I think the other part of this, Kylene, is that, so tell people about how we go about this, right? So we separately put all this stuff together. We sit down, we go through this on our own, and then we get together. So tell people kind of our process.
So we kind of go back and forth through our list. So we each share one thing, and then when we share it, it allows me to enter Aaron's world a little bit, right? To understand what's important to him and what he's accomplished, because I see part of it, right? But I don't get to see all of it. And so by going back and forth, we're building that connection with each other. We're allowing to share all of us, right? With each other. And it's really cool just going back and forth and hearing what the other person wants to celebrate and acknowledge. Yeah.
And so I think that's an important part of it, right? To just take that moment and acknowledge that for each other. But let's say that you're just doing this on your own, and that's, again, totally fine. I just wanted to share how this might be also a useful tool if you've got a partner and you guys want to be on the same page and whatnot. But even if you're doing this on your own, follow the same process, list this stuff out, but then don't just list it out and then shove it off to the side, right? List it out and go through the list as if you're a third party, as if you're an outside person, and congratulate yourself, right? So at the top of this note we've got here, list all the accomplishments, and then they say you achieved that, right? Like, have that acknowledgement for yourself. So even though I get, Kylene cheering me on too, I also need to make sure that in my own brain, as I write this stuff down and as we go through and review it together, I'm going, okay, yeah, I did do that, man. Yep. That's pretty, and so here's the deal. It's not about stroking your ego or anything like that. It really is about finding that inspiration, because from that, oh my gosh, that's kind of cool that I was able to accomplish that, should come, okay, what's the next step? What's the next step? And so, take that moment to pat yourself on the back. That's not a bad thing. That's not an ego thing. That's I'm proud of what I accomplished. Now I'm ready to go accomplish more.
Yeah. And I think like the power of this sheet is, so we can go through life and just every day might feel a little bit like the same, right? Or you might start feeling discouraged because you're not to that big goal yet. You haven't achieved that. So not taking the time to acknowledge all that you did do can really get yourself kind of in a rut in a way, because you haven't achieved that big goal. But really, all those small steps along the way is what we want to be celebrating, because that's building that momentum and that motivation to keep moving forward, and helps us not to get discouraged, right, when we're not at that big goal yet.
Yeah.
Because that doesn't happen overnight.
Exactly. Really good point, Kylene. Okay, well, let's shift gears. So that's the celebration part. That's the first thing that we do. We're going to shift gears. I'm going to actually scroll up here. So then this is the next phase of it. Let me see if I can make that a little bit smaller so it fits in the screen a little bit better there. Okay, so this is the part where I don't know if I'm not going to speak for you, but this is the part where I believe that we have to really kind of take that motivation that we had from the celebration and turn that into honesty of what can I, how can I achieve more now, right? Like,
Mhm.
what's the next step? And I think we can only take that right next step, the most productive action, from that place of real deep honesty in what we committed to, what we accomplished, all that other stuff, but saying, okay, could I do more? Right. And so this is not about always pushing ourselves to strive to do more, but it's just about an honest assessment. So we've got this wheel here, and there's 5 P's, and inside those P's, there's 2 sections in each.
Mhm.
So I think ultimately, for me, if what I'm shooting for is to have this wheel be tens all the way around. I mean, I think, right, that could be a complete life. I don't know if we ever get there per se, but I think what this does for me is to remind me that I need to take care of all of me, right? Not just,
Mhm.
I can get really stuck in the red over there in the prosperity side and spend a lot of time there. Or I found lately that I am all over that purple section there. So, and all great, but if I don't work on the other stuff, then I'm not going to be successful. So
Yep.
let's um, let's talk about the wheel here in just 1 second. But let me hit what's on the side here, just to give people the quick rundown of it. So obviously, put the month in there. So this is for me personally. I'm working on trying to reduce my weight a little bit. So it's just a way to kind of keep track of where I'm at. But then date nights, again, since you and I do this together, Kylene, we one of our commitments to each other is we're going to try to have two date nights, date breakfasts, whatever, two dates together each month where it's about the date. And we've made one a family date, to include our son, and then one where it's just the two of us. And I do my best to not talk about work. We'll just leave it at that.
We're doing good. We're
Yeah,
doing good.
yeah. And then just because we do review this together, I put a little checkbox on there to remind us that we need to make sure that we plan. We've gotten a little bit into a rut of, oh my gosh, there's a week left in the month, we didn't do our date. Let's force something in there, right? So if we
Mhm.
can early on in the month plan it out, there's a little bit better chance of actually making it there. So is that anything else we need to cover on that, Kylene?
No, I don't think so. I think going back to that wheel though, when you were talking about
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So,
having, yeah, having things in balance, I think you did a good job kind of looking at the whole picture. That's what this is, the whole
okay,
picture,
got it.
of where
Okay.
maybe we need to focus our attention on things.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go back into the wheel then, and yeah, anything else that you've got to share about the wheel and how that might be
Mhm.
useful for people. And one more reminder here for everybody, maybe if you're just tuning in, go back and watch the whole thing. But um, the I've got Kylene here because we do this together, this particular thing. But this works just as well if you're doing it on your own. So don't take that this has got to be. I just think that it's a really useful tool, and if you can do this with your partner, with your spouse, your partner, whatever, it might be very beneficial for your relationship also, not just your business. But this is a very useful tool for the kind of holistic look at us as business owners. So,
Mhm.
all right, Kylene, let's. So we're yeah, like normal. Where do you want to start on the wheel here?
Um, Well, I just want to expand one more thing on what the wheel is all about.
Yep.
It's really to make sure we're being true to ourselves and what's important to us. Aaron said, what could you do to do more? When he's saying that, he's really saying, what can I do more to make sure I'm in line with what's important to me?
Yes.
And bringing more good things to us. Not that we need to add more to dos to our list. So I just wanted to be clear on what you meant when you were saying to do more, because we can always do more, but we want to do more with intention and do more with what's in line with what's important to us. So just wanted to
Yeah, that's a really good
add.
clarification, Kylene. That doing more isn't just to add more things to to-do list. And sometimes I miss that, right? This my own lens and perspective. I I'm always trying to do more, like you said, from that vantage point, but I forget that, my drive is different than other folks. So please, anytime there's a way to clarify that for people, please do.
Yeah, I mean, I think what this wheel, like we always, I don't know, we start at different places on the wheel sometimes, but
Yeah.
what we do is we mark on that wheel. So there's numbers. It's kind of hard to see, at least on my screen, but it starts at a 10 and it goes down to a 1. 10 being the most in line, right, with that area.
Yeah.
And then we just mark, we go back and forth like we did with our celebration list, and we just mark where the other person's at. And then we get to expand upon that. And what could we do to make that a 10, or what things are happening that maybe we need to be aware of so we can continue to make that number higher if it's not already at a 10.
Yeah. And that's where that honesty part comes in. So we'll get to that in one second. But why don't we do this, Kylene? I know, like you said, we start at different places in the wheel depending on where we're at and what that month is all about. But why don't we just go around the wheel here and explain each of the sections? So wherever you want to start, go ahead.
We can start at principles in the purple section there.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
So faith, I mean, it really is whatever that faith is for you. But how in line or how connected do you feel to that spiritual side of you? What are you doing to really make sure you're nurturing that side of who you are as a person and what's important to you?
Yeah. Yeah. And you're exactly right. It's, that connection to something bigger than yourself, right? That connection to God, that connection to source energy, if that's what your belief is, a universe, whatever that is. But like, are you spending enough time during the month really kind of focusing on that? Is kind of the way I grade myself, right? Am I getting closer, stronger connection there to my faith? So love that. Okay. And then I'll do the next. We'll just take turns. How's that? And
Perfect. Okay.
So, and then I'll share personal growth, and you can add any bit to it, and then we'll keep rolling around the wheel here, because I want to try to keep this a little bit shorter today than normal hour and a half thing. So,
I'm the chatty one today. Sorry.
Personal growth is the next thing in principles. And again, these are the 5 P's of our whole life here. So personal growth is literally that, right? How are you doing on, just learning, growing, being more true to yourself, understanding your why, reason, just kind of really the philosophical side of yourself, I think is way I look at that. What about you, Kylie?
I just look at it as, how are you allowing yourself to stay in that growth mindset? Are you welcoming all that new information into your life, and are you using it? That's kind of how I look at it.
Yeah. Love it. Okay. All right. Next one.
Spouse and partner. So
we're getting into the people.
And if you don't have a spouse or a partner, it could be your business partners. It could be those people in your life that are really meaningful and important to you when you look at that. Yeah,
that's a good point. So so this is the people category, and these are the relationships in our lives. And like Kylene said, your review process, your celebration, your monthly kind of look at these things doesn't have to match ours exactly, right? Yeah. Like the 5 P's are all kind of the categories and what that looks like underneath for you. So principles, right? You've got, again, the faith and the personal growth for us, but maybe you've got different principles, values that you want to kind of be looking at. Same thing with the people, spouse, partner. Doesn't have to, even if you don't, that's okay, right? There's like, who's the important people in your life? And then maybe what's the next layer from there, right? So for us, it's our spouse, partner, but then, what's the next layer? Our family and friends. So anyhow, go ahead, Kylene. Sorry.
Nope, that was the Yeah, you're up with the family and friends is next.
Okay. Well, just explain a little bit more about the spouse partner, because I know
Oh yeah.
we've
So
had some. Yeah. No, I mean, we've had to have discussions about what this means, right? Like,
yeah.
so
So it
talk about
really
that.
means like how in line do you feel like you are? So for us, it's a check-in. Are we kind of going apart in what's important and what we're our connection with each other? Or are we more in line? Do I
Yeah.
feel like I've been able to make sure Aaron's on the same page as me when it comes to our communication? Or do I kind of feel like he's just off running and doing his own thing and I'm over here trying to
Yeah.
trying to put things together, right?
Yeah.
So it's a way to, so if we're not at a 10, the next question is what could we do to make it a 10?
Yeah.
And what that does is it keeps us communicating in a way to make sure that we're meeting each other's needs in a way to be on the same page with things. Because we know in life, there's a lot of different things we need to manage, and we each take on different things and within your household, but we still need to be communicating and feel that we're connected in that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and the other part of that too is to really understand, we've had to have this conversation because, when Kylene rates me a 6, right? Like she's not rating me a 6. She's
Yep.
rating our communication a 6, right? So it's not about, oh, Kylene's a 6 or, Kylene's a 9, not a 10. Right. So I think it's important to understand that. And again, even if it's about, a different relationship than a spouse partner, you're not rating the thing, you're rating the connection, you're rating the how you are doing, right? So it's about, like, maybe if I were to rate Kylene an 8, because again, I'm not rating Kylene an 8, but if I put 8 in spouse partner here, that has more to do with me and how am I relating to Kylene, how am I being available, how am I communicating, than it does with it being Kylene, right? So
Yep.
I think it's really
Yep.
important to understand that too. And we struggle with that for a little bit because it can feel like, that it's an attack a little bit, right? But then, like you said, it's what we do afterwards that's really the key there, and we'll get to that in a second. Yeah. And then the same thing goes with again, I feel like this is kind of the next layer, right? So my innermost circle is Kylene, and then who's the next layer of people around me? And that's a family and really close friends. And the same thing, right? This is not about, my friends and family are terrible. It's about how am I interacting with them? What am I taking 100% responsibility for these numbers? Because if I'm rating all of these things based on external factors, then now I've given away all my control to ever get to a 10. So, right? Like I could see myself going, well, I'm just going to give up then. It's out of my control. But if I
don't do anything to better it.
Yeah, exactly. So if I take it as what am I doing to improve my relationship with my family and friends? Is that a 10, right? Am I putting in the effort? Even if it's not there, maybe you're still having big struggles with your family, for example. I know a lot of people don't always get along with families, right? You don't get to pick them, but they are your family, right? So there's some challenges there sometimes, but this is more about you and how you're, are you putting your best foot forward? Are you that type of thing? So, getting into the honesty. All right. And then the next P, so we go from principles to people and then to pleasure. And this is our, what brings us joy and pleasure in our lives. And so for us, Kylene, we've got two segments there. So give us the first.
So the first one's fun and recreation. So the things that we do for enjoyment, entertainment, to fill us up on the other side of things, right? So this is outside of our business. It's really, what are we doing just to bring more joy into our life?
Yep. Love it. Yep. Exactly. And again, how are you interacting with that? Right. So, for me in March, it was down a little bit because I was working a lot, or I just was really focused on that. So it was an honest assessment of like, okay, I got to get that back in balance a little bit.
For sure.
And then And then community, it would be another segment in here. And to me, this kind of is, again, the people around you, how they're involved in the pleasure, bringing you joy and things like that. So this might even be the third layer of your inner circle, Kylene, family, friends, then your greater community. Maybe that's your neighbors, maybe it's the online communities that you're in, things like that. But again, how are you interacting with it? How are you being intentional about the growth of that being something that brings you joy and pleasure?
Yep.
And then, so from there, we get into the next P, which is physicality. Right? This is our body. This is our flesh that we have, and then the things that are around it. So what's the first one here?
Yeah. So health and wellness is that first category. And for me, that is, how are we feeling? Meaning, how are we feeling about our energy level, our diet, all of that goes into our health and wellness, and what are we doing to improve that or to make us feel more energized moving forward. And so your diet comes into play again, your movement, all of that, your weight, depending on what kind of goals you might have. For us, that is something that that personally we are working on together. And so that's how we're looking at this health and wellness section within the physicality.
Yep. I love it. Yeah. I think you've hit that right on the head. And then the environment are just the things around you. So a lot of times maybe I'm looking at, what's going on with our home, for example, or, do I have a lot of messes and incompletes in the to-dos, right? We're looking at a jungle out in our front yard right now, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to be that, but kind of that environment around you. Maybe it's your workspace. Maybe it's your maybe it's just your community, your cul-de-sac, for example, right? How does that feel, right? Like I was thinking about this the other day. We have this beautiful little walkway, greenery area that goes over these creeks and stuff like that. And I keep thinking about it, but I haven't done anything about it yet, right? Because there's trash out there. And I'm like, you know what? We just need to go get a trash bag and go clean that up, right? So that could be a way that I could improve my environment, right? And look at myself in the mirror like that. So, yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's that physical space that you are in. And if it's cluttered, if it's chaos, if it's whatever, what could you do to kind of bring more connection to it or calm to it?
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important for everybody to note, Kylene and I have been very intentional about using the word could instead of should. So just, we can talk about that more here in just a second, but just keep that in mind as you're thinking about this stuff. Always think about could, let go of all the shoulds. All right. Yeah. All right. So we'll get to that in a second. Hold that thought. But the last P here is prosperity. So, that can mean a lot of different things, but typically it's your, in the world we live in today, it's the money that we have and it's the work that we do. So Kylene, talk to us about that.
Yeah. So it really is. Do we feel like we're proud of what we are making, finances and money? Are we where we want to be? Are we appreciating with gratitude what we do have? And are we where we want to be? Are we welcoming more opportunities? Are we welcoming more income? Depending on how you want to look at it. But it's money and finance is just, again, all of these are just measurements. So if we're not where we need to be, then okay, that's a check-in with ourselves. What could you do that could potentially make that number go higher?
Yeah.
Because everyone's different with what's important and what we need to have to keep moving forward.
Yeah. And I think some of that is, how are you managing that? Right. So, the income, right. I mean, are you keeping your books up? Are you, managing the credit cards and, doing the best you can to have a budget and spend wisely. And
Mhm.
like Kylene said, welcoming new opportunities, finding ways to bring in more income while you're sharing your gift, that kind of thing. So, it can mean a lot of different things, but again, most importantly, it's all about just kind of honest assessment of looking in the mirror, right?
Yeah.
Like put a mirror in your front of yourself. I actually have a mirror in my space where I sit down with this stuff and I can take the
Mhm.
moment to do this. And literally I'm staring at myself in the face when I'm writing this down. And
Yeah.
it's been really helpful to kind of keep it heading in the right direction, to keep taking 100% responsibility for
Yeah.
my own life. And then the final part is, our career, right? And, for people watching this, it's your business.
Mhm.
But, maybe you've got a day job too. How are you managing those things? Is it heading in the right direction? Are you taking the steps that you need to take to leave the day job if that's the plan? Or are you finding the right balance, right? Has your side hustle turned into too much and now you don't have any of your time left, right? So it's finding that, really kind of understanding career wise how am I fulfilling my purpose, how does that line up to what my ideal life is all about. So
Yeah.
anything else on that, Kylie?
No, I mean, it's just really in line with, understanding your purpose, and are you connected with that, your overall career, your work activities that you are doing, is it really in line or is it a little off? And
Yeah.
what can we add to bring us more, or bring that number higher, to feel more connected?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so after we do that, now here's the kind of the summary part, and this is where you really got to get honest. Right? The numbers give us a gauge to kind of go from, but if the area was not a 10, what could, and I don't know if that shows up when I highlight it, it doesn't on the screen there, but could is so important. So you want to
Mhm.
explain why could is important there, Kylie?
Yeah, because it's our choice. Um, we can always do more. When we should, we take that places blame and shame and all of that on us, right? And then what does that do? It brings our energy down. It brings more negative emotions when we should on ourselves. And um, when you say could, it's welcoming new things. It's empowering yourself to make the choice to
Yeah.
move forward.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the other way you can look at it too, I think you're exactly right. That what you just said there. But another way that you can look at that is should means past. Like should indicates,
Yeah,
well, I
that's true.
should have
Yeah.
done that. Right. I
Mhm.
didn't. So I'm thinking about my past. I should have done that. Could indicates future. Could, like you said, indicates choice. Like I could do this in the future.
Mhm.
Right? And so I think just changing those two little letters from should to could really is about thinking about it from the future versus thinking about it from the past. Because when we think about it from the past and we should on ourselves, like Kylene said, we can't do anything about that, right? Then we have this defeated feeling
Yeah.
because we should have done it. No,
Mhm.
you shouldn't have. You did exactly what you were supposed to do in that moment, right? Because that was the current knowledge, skills, and ability that you had in that moment.
Yeah.
What you could do is next time you're looking ahead, right? When we're
Mhm.
thinking about our future selves, we could do these things. We learned from that past experience as opposed to being stuck in that should of the past experience. So,
Yeah. And
um,
I think for me, this was probably, in this whole journey of us doing this, that right there has been the biggest growth that I have had. I didn't realize how much I was in that past state of mind and not really looking at the future. Um,
you were just swimming in a pile of shoulds.
I was, and I think that's the people.
Big
We could
stinky
get
pile
into
of
that, but
should.
that's the people pleaser part, right?
Yeah.
You want to show up and really, this could is just, it just welcomes new things to your life,
Yeah.
because there's so many different possibilities when you look at this.
Yeah.
So anyway, okay, back on track.
Yeah. No, you're good. So So yeah, really the idea here is, okay, looking at the wheel above, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'll scroll back up. So looking at the wheel above, if anything was not a 10, just a quick, and I think for me, the most power is when I don't overthink it. I just go with my gut. Okay,
Okay.
not a 10. What could I do in the future? Quick single statement, right? So,
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to share anything from your previous one from March there that maybe stood
Sure.
out to you.
Well, I actually was at a 10 for my faith, and I wrote, I'm feeling more connected. That's just all I wrote there. And then with the personal growth, I was not at a 10 or 10. I think I was at an 8. And I said,
Yep.
taking more steps to learn and apply actually what I am learning in my life.
Yeah. And there you go. See, that's a huge, like that word that you got one word in there that really stands out, apply. Right. And so now
Mhm.
the next time you learn something, you'll remember from this sheet that I said, I got to apply. And so
Mhm.
now you'll take a different step. So you could apply it more.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
yeah, I think that's, the one that was the lowest for me was my health and wellness. And
Mhm.
I just said I could find some resources and update the environment, meaning, have more healthy snacks around, don't just, yeah, be more aware, have water available, have more healthy snacks around,
Mhm.
so that's what I could do. So,
And go to the grocery store instead of letting your wife go.
yeah, that's true. They got that Minnesota nice where you got to have all of the snacks, but
All the comfort food, right?
yeah, got to have all that. So, all
Yeah.
right. Well, so that's kind of the rundown of what we mainly do. Now, I've got another page, and I know this is going to be kind of unique to me, and I don't know what else you do. So I'm happy to have you share some other things, but that's kind of what we do together.
Mhm.
And then I've got one more page that I wanted to share with folks. And so, based on the book here, The Fundamentals of Business Success, I look in here at my at these fundamentals, and again, another honest assessment of, okay, am I empowering myself? Have I spent, does my reason feel clear? Do I have enough self trust? Am I doing the things to be a goal getter? Have I clearly defined the relationships? Do I understand the marketing groundwork? Have I spent any time working on the numbers? Right, all the way up through there. And just a simple, for me, it's just a simple plus, meaning, yeah, I have worked on it, it's improving. Equal meaning no change. Now that could mean that no change is needed, but it's just kind of a neutral, right? And then a minus sign would be something I need to focus on, work on the next month, right? Needs improvement. Um, and then I do a similar thing with what the core values are of the business. Number one is significance. Second is empowering, being solution oriented, and having purposeful drive and innovative resilience. And again, just a quick rating. The rating scale to me is really valuable because it allows our conscious brain to have that neat, tidy box to put things in. Right? And then from there, then our conscious brain can go, okay, subconscious, now you can take care of it. But I needed to have that. Where am I at on the scale here?
Yeah.
And then, I don't have a whole lot of room in here, but I'll just put little notes around here. Like if not a 10, what could I do to make it a 10? What could I do to make it a 10? So that's how I kind of close out my month. Anything else that you do, Kylene?
For me, it truly is the sharing of it. To kind of really solidify is when we do share with each other. It just, I can read it and I can have that for myself, but when we share it with each other, it just kind of is that hearing myself say it. Just I can't think of the word, but it does solidify it for me, and it does bring me more energy and pride, and it just empowers me more to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
I guess is
love
the
it.
best way to say it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's it, you guys. That we wanted to go through that, share that with you.
Mhm.
Love to hear your thoughts. Are you doing anything like that yourself? What's different? whatever your thoughts are. So let us know, reach out, and just comment on this video, comment in the OSG Fall in Love with Your Business group. In fact, I'll put that up there real quick if I can find it. Thought I had it up, but it was not there. So one more. There we go. So make sure that you are a member over there at facebook.com/groups/ oh, that's the choose challenge. That's the wrong one.
Oh,
shoot.
Sorry, I didn't even notice that.
Where is it? I thought I just had it here. There it is. I clicked the wrong button. Okay. Groups / Fall in Love OSG. So there you go. Check that out, and let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know what other things you'd like to hear about here on Small Business Saturdays. And make sure that you share this with your friends too. Not enough people are seeing this, and I think we can really change the world if we are all working towards something, working towards that personal growth. So let's get some more people joining us here and sharing too, right? The comments and what is it that you're doing? It's not about me being up here. It's not about me and Kylene being up here sharing what we're doing. It's about sharing perspectives, and your guys' part is jumping in the comments and sharing your perspectives too. So.
For sure. Yeah, we learn from each other. So the more we can collaborate and communicate and share, the better. Yeah.
Is it weird that every time I hear the word collaborate, all I can think about is Vanilla Ice?
No, because I do too.
Okay. All right. Good.
And our son does too.
Yeah. He normally is good at singing it for us. So. Yeah. All right. Well, Kylene, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate your take on that. And we've got our monthly review coming up here. We do it on our first meeting of the month, and that's is typically on a Monday. So we're going to do that next Monday. I know did we have a Monday already this month and we just missed it?
No, this will be the first one.
That's right, because Monday or the first fell on a Tuesday or something like that, or Wednesday.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Today's the 4th, yeah. Okay, so next Monday we'll be doing our monthly review. Curious what you guys do, and can't wait to hear more from everybody out there in the small business community.
Thank you for having me.
All right, talk to everybody soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.